Welcome guys to another chess analysis. Now Alexander Grischuk is like the Giga Chat of chess. He has tons of thug life compilations spread around YouTube because he literally is the definition of someone who doesn't care. He's a pretty funny guy and actually one of the best players in the world. And to prove that, I have a fantastic aggressive game that was played when he was only 17 years old. Now that was like in 2000, so 23 years ago. And yeah, he was still an international master, but he was faced with Valery Yandemirov, a Russian grandmaster rated almost 2500, so he really had a tough opposition here. But let's see what he managed to do. So he had the white pieces, and he started the game with e4. After e5 by black, Grishuk goes for f4, and we have the king's gambit on the board. Now, for those of you who are new to chess, this is probably one of the most aggressive openings there is, because as you can see, white is just straight up giving a pawn in move 2, right? And after e takes on f4, which is played in the game, except in the gambit, white's main idea is that, he deflected this pawn that was helping control the center, and he's going to play moves like d4, bishop to c4, and, he's just going to develop his pieces and get at the black king as soon as possible. Now, in the game first, he played knight f3, because the main drawback of playing f4 is that you're creating major kingside weaknesses that the queen would be able to exploit, and so knight f3 just covers exactly that. Now black here continues with g5, perhaps with ideas to play g4 and kick this knight and infiltrate with the queen, but now Grischuk just plays h4 and just tries challenging this pawn, and also this queen is never going to land on h4 because now the rook is protecting it. And indeed the pawn pushes, we have g4, and we have knight e5, just completely making this knight sort of a beast. But yeah, black immediately gets on it. We have knight to c6, inning the knight, and now Grischuk goes d4, which, I mean, if you take a look, he could recapture his pawn. He could have played knight takes on d4. But thing is that after something like d5 and takes, well, white was trying to get a very nice attack from this opening. And as you can see, the tables have sort of turned because black got this queen out, he's going to get his bishops out, and black is the one that is going to have fun here. So yeah, white didn't sign up for this, and instead it just continues developing. We have d4, and black uses this to play knight takes on e5, removing a powerful attacking piece from white, and also doubling the white pawns in the center. And now, even though white has these double pawns in the center, this f4 pawn is under attack, and black really doesn't have a good way of defending it. So instead it tries going for d6, because after bishop takes on f4, goes for g7, and his main idea for bishop to g7, sorry, and his main idea comes into play, because now this pawn is pinned, right? White can't just capture on d6, because bishop takes on b2, and he's losing this rook, right? So white has to be careful. But black's main idea here is that he wants to recapture this pawn while attacking the bishop and simultaneously offering a queen trade. Because a queen trade here would massively help black, because, well, if there's no queens, it's way harder to set up an attack. But Grishuk has a few tricks up his sleeve, so let's see what he's able to do. Here he plays bishop to c4, and black continues with his plan. We have d takes on e5, and now Grishuk already starts with his tricks, because here he plays a very nice bishop takes on f7, and trying to deflect the king from the defense of the queen, right? If we have king takes bishop, well, just queen takes queen, and black is dead lost. So in the game he played king to e7, he saw this. Now we have bishop to g5, another very scary move, because this queen is sort of being x-rayed by the bishop, but black can conveniently play knight f6. He had to see that he had this defense, and now there's no attack, and white sort of has a problem, because all of a sudden his bishop is under attack, and the queen trade is still imminent, and the only way to parry both threats is to block this line of fire. He plays bishop to d5, but now another problem, c6, and all of a sudden this bishop will have to leave, and the queen trade is gonna happen, and black is gonna survive the attack. Or is it? Because here Grischuk doesn't care if plays knight c3. He literally doesn't care about his bishop, because well, take a look. If this bishop is to be captured, the knight just recaptures, and this king is just completely misplaced here in the center of the board. He can't really go to the d file, or there will be severe problems here, right? With just discovered checks all over the place, right? And if he tries going to the f file, well, white can just simply castle, and now there's just immense pressure on this knight. There's 3 pieces attacking. Black can't really defend his knight. His king is still super misplaced, and he's just gonna suffer horrible consequences. So yeah, not really fun for black. So instead, he does not dare to capture this bishop, and after knight to c3, he goes for h6. He starts kicking away this bishop because this bishop is the main protagonist that makes the whole wheel turn. Because if this bishop isn't here, for example, if you just take the bishop back, well, now black can just take, because after knight takes, there's no longer this pin, and the knight just recaptures, and white has no attack. So after black attacked this bishop, Grischuk is pretty much forced to take the knight. We have bishop takes on f6. After the bishop recaptures, finally the bishop is gonna have to retreat, and the queen trade is gonna occur. Well, not really, because again, Grischuk keeps not caring and just castles again. Because thing is now, if this bishop is to be taken, again, knight takes on d5, and king still can't go to the d file because of these discovered checks. And now if he goes to the f file, well, all of a sudden, rook takes, king to g7, now just queen to d2, your rooks are gonna stack here, and black really doesn't have a defense. His king is just dead again. You cannot remove your rook to help with the defense of this file, because the h6 pawn is hanging. So instead of taking the bishop, again, it really isn't wise for black to dare go into this. Black goes for bishop e6, which, is a very sensible move, because now he really is threatening. For example, if white makes a random move like a3, well, now he can capture, because after knight captures, there's this bishop that neutralizes his knight, and now white pretty much has nothing. So Grischuk has to do something. Is he gonna move back and trade and allow this queen trade? Well, not really. You should know by now that Grischuk isn't really gonna make things easy. And here he played a fantastic, brilliant move. He doesn't care that his bishop is hanging. And if there is a moment to pause the video, it probably is now, because this move is just absolute brilliant. So yeah, give it your best. So if you managed to find this move, congratulations, because you're just a fantastic player. Here Grischuk sacrifices the rook. Like, his bishop is hanging and now so is the rook. Like, this is just absolute madness. And now, 2 pieces are hanging. Let's see what happens if now the bishop is taken. Well, if the bishop is taken, the rook just turns into a complete kamikaze, because now the rook just sacrifices himself again. And now black really has to take it. But now the queen gets in, and the king is not gonna have a fun time walking around, because after the queen keeps checking, the knight now gets in, and now your rook will be able to join the party, and black's pieces are still on the back rank, doing absolutely nothing. And even though black has a rook for a knight, what the hell is his rook doing? He's just like AFK, like absolutely doing nothing. Like, he hasn't moved the whole game. But this position is completely hopeless for black. So no point in playing this. So black didn't dare go into this, and they tried the only other viable option, and he took the rook. But now there is another fantastic combination that Grischuk saw. This is what actually happened in the game. So plays queen to f1, and now the king is under attack. Your bishop is also under pressure. So the only move that keeps both is king to e7, keeping an eye on this bishop, right? The thing is, after bishop takes bishop, black can't retake it, because if king takes, well, all of a sudden, queen to f5, and king can't really go to the f file, can't really go to the d file, or rook d1 and GG queen, so he has to go to e7. But now this pawn is taken, and if you go to the d file, again you lose your queen. And if you go to the f file, well, now the rook joins the fun again, and after something like king to g6, it's just mate, because there's this check on f5 again, king goes to g7, and now it's just mate, right? The rook and the pawn conveniently block the king's escape squares. So this is no fun either for black, so he can't retake. Instead, he tries being clever. He goes for queen to d4, checks the king, and now after king to h1, he recaptures the bishop, because after queen to f5, now this very important e5 pawn is now protected by the queen. However, Grischuk still has a trick up his sleeve, because here he plays rook to d1, and now he's asking the question for black, where the hell is he gonna put his queen? Because if you take a look, even though the queen is like the most powerful piece in chess, right? She only has 3 squares she can go to in this position. Like, it's crazy, and all of these, they suffer the same fate. The black king is just dead. The queen just infiltrates again to f5, and yeah, we have the same mate like before. We have rook to d7, but now after king to e8, just queen f7, and yeah, look at this queen just completely misplaced on b6 or c5 or b4, wherever she went to, and yeah, just absolutely incredible stuff. However, instead in the game, again, black tries salvaging something, and he goes to a rook h to f8. You know, this rook that really isn't doing anything. He finally tries to activate it. However, again, Grischuk stays calm and also plays queen to e2, because even though he no longer has access to the f5 square, access to the g4 one is well enough. Because again, queen doesn't have a lot of options, and okay, now she can even go to f2, you know, offering a trade. But now queen to g4, and yeah, it's just made all the same, because the king is just absolutely misplaced. Like, this just shows the importance of getting your king to safety as soon as possible. So yeah, moving your queen back here really isn't an option. So instead, black tries going for g3, and this is already desperation, because he's trying to set up a sort of mate here, because the black pawn controls the white king. If the queen ever abandons the protection of the f1 square, well, of course, black would have a checkmate with the rook, right? However, that's a good if. Let's see it in practice, right? Here, Grischuk obviously takes the queen, black recaptures, and now he gives a couple checks. We have queen to g4, now we have king to e7, queen to g7, Grischuk keeps checking, and after king to e6, now Grischuk leads with this problem of the back rank mate, and plays knight to e2, and if now black is to check, just just knight to g1, blocking, right? And you have problems with this rook, so there really isn't anything here. Instead, after knight to e2, black sort of tries trapping the queen, he plays rook h to g8, but this is complete desperation, because you're just hanging this pawn with check, and yeah, black tries blocking, we have rook to f6, but not just knight takes on d4, and it's just completely over, and black decides to take the easy way out and resigns. But it was just a matter of time, because yeah, after something like king to e5, well, just knight f3, checking, king goes back, and you can even just retreat with your queen. Like, there's absolutely nothing to do here at black. The queen will just have something like queen to b3, you know, forking the king and the pawn, also trying to win the rook back here. So yeah, just completely hopeless. You have a queen and a knight for 2 rooks, and you're even up a couple pawns. So yeah, this mate idea isn't really enough to win the game. Yeah, this is what it takes to be a fantastic attacking champion, and yeah, hope you guys learned a thing or two. And sometimes, you know, being crazy pays off. Like, however, it's not often that you can sacrifice literally all your pieces and get away with it. But well, if you're good enough, you can. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed. And yeah, if you made it this far, please consider liking and subscribing. It really does help a lot. And yeah, catch you in the next one. Bye. See ya.